Hi, everyone, and welcome to another Sunday talk within the Nine-Sided Circle. I am your host, Noor Kyle,
And I am her loyal sidekick, Mushtaq Ali.
ever loyal
Ever
and
loyal,
beloved.
ever sidekick.
So, thank you so much for joining us, whether you're here live on Zoom or watching on the replay. We're so happy to have you joining us. And thank you for supporting us, whether that's through
Huh?
donations
You going to bed? Yeah.
or
Okay.
through, sorry, I'm just going to hit mute.
Mute everybody.
Uh, whether that's through donations or subscribing to our channel, leaving comments, liking our videos, sharing them with others, all of the above. This has been really helpful to us. Thank you so much. And it really means a lot, so thank you. You can also do one-on-ones with us if you wish, or two-on-ones. That's something you can email us about if you're interested, and we can offer you support through that mode. But most importantly, I want to talk about our retreat in India coming up this fall. So the official retreat is going to be September 1st through 7th, but we are all going to be meeting up together in Delhi on the evening of August 31st because we're going to be traveling to our beautiful remote resort together via train and then via hired carpool, essentially. And we think it's going to be quite an incredible adventure because many of us perhaps have not been to India before, but this will be a wonderful way for us to share that experience together. And then, of course, Mushtaq and I will be teaching at this beautiful place. And all of us will share wonderful meals, and the cottages and tents there look amazing. So, we hope this might entice you to join us in the end of August into September. And perhaps you might want to make a vacation out of it for yourself. Come a few days early to acclimate to the time change, perhaps, do some sightseeing, and you can do so after the retreat as well.
Yeah, if you go to India and you don't go to the Taj Mahal, you're missing out.
Yeah, so if you're looking for further details on that, we do have the link in the description. That's going to give you all the information I can muster to offer you so you can make an informed choice and see if this retreat might be a good fit for you. But if it is, we would be so thrilled to have you join us. And I
And
look
we
forward to
promise
hearing from you.
that even though the price on the retreat is really low, you're going to be staying in the lap of luxury.
It's pretty incredible. Yeah, I have even my relatives are like, "Can we come? Can we come?" This is for us, but the enthusiasm is there and I certainly appreciate it. Yeah, so anything I need to add, Alka or Mushtaq?
Nothing for me.
All right. So any further questions, you can email us and I will respond as soon as I can. So thank you so much for listening to our little marketing spiel there. Thank you. All right, so let's get started on our topic this evening.
All
We're
right.
talking about, my gosh, self-control. I feel like that's a weird term for many of
It is a
us.
weird term.
I think a lot of us may have perhaps prickly feelings about it.
Yeah, which is unfortunate because if you don't have self-control, then if there is any control at all, it's other control.
Mm-hmm. And that's the crux of the thing. So we'll be talking about that. Hmm. So where would you like to start this discussion, Mushtaq?
Some definitions.
Yes, yes, yes.
So the title of tonight's talk is um, Intention, Goals, Self-Control, and Power, a Sufi perspective. Now, there's lots of different people and groups that use these terms. for one thing or another, and they are not using them in the way that we are using them. Now, we've talked a lot about intention and how to make intention and how to work with intention, but there's after you make the intention, the question is, what do you do? And every intention is going to have some goals in it. That's how you know you're getting to the culmination of that intention. Might just be one goal, it might be 20 goals. Those are just little stopping points along the way. And the goals part is what gets tricky. And this is where self-discipline comes in. Self-discipline or self-control is your behaviors aligning with your goals. Sounds simple, but let me say that again. Self-control is your behaviors aligning with your goals. So if you have no goals, you have no self-control. So what does this mean? This is not a rhetorical question. What does that mean to you? Your behavior aligning with your goals. Don't everybody jump in all at once. James, go for it.
Well, to me, goals for a start had to have an expansive quality. This is what I saw ripped off from Viktor Frankl. The goals aren't just behaviors or activities. There's something, I won't say demanding, but something expansive about them. So if I don't have goals, I just have a pack of passive behaviors. So I've got to have goals, but then I have to live them. They can't just be talk. So a goal is something that I'm sorry I'm waffling a bit here, but a goal is something that drags me out of my mere subjectivity or my mere indulgence and brings me together and points me in a direction. I may have lost the thread of what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. And
But
I'm
is
not
that
sure that goals need to be expansive.
really? Is
Yeah.
lying around
So
in
if
bed
I have a
watching telly
goal
a goal?
of having
Yeah,
healthy teeth, then
yeah,
my behavior is going to be brushing and flossing
yeah,
minimum twice a day, seeing my dentist every 6 months. That's not
sure.
particularly expensive, but it's a valid goal.
It's still an affirmation of some kind of value. It's not just watching
Yeah.
Netflix, eating pizza.
Yeah, I think I'm
It's
just
just not
stumbling
peak.
over
It's
the term uh,
well, expansive.
expensive. Yeah. I think goals can be very, very small, and sometimes they need to be, especially in the beginning.
But that's still a goal. Well, perhaps a goal is something that reflects a value then. If expansive is too
Yeah.
grandiose,
And
a
we
goal
might
needs,
be mistaking intentions for goals here.
okay.
Yeah, because for me, the intention is going to be bigger than the goal.
All right.
So if my intention is to have healthy teeth, then I'm going to have a series of goals that I want to accomplish to achieve that intention. Big intention. Sometimes the goals are small. Brush your teeth twice a day. Use floss or a water pick. Avoid sugar. Avoid chewing on complex carbohydrates all the time. The goals can be very small. The intention is liable to be bigger. And I think that if we look at it that way, we're in complete agreement.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I I hear you, James, and I think that you guys are working at the same thing here. But I just want
Yeah.
to point out we did do a video in the past that really pieces apart, goals, intentions, and aims. So people might find that video interesting when they have the time. So we have a couple remarks in the
Yeah, let's
comments.
get through that, and then we're going to get to that last word.
All right. Todd says intention and action are one. And the prerequisite is you have to have a direction for your intention. So that's from Todd. Alka says, in corporate world, when I had small term goals and long term goals, my growth was very consistent and fast. So I say one should have small term goals and long term goals. They keep you excited and focused on life.
There you go. And Alka knows about these things.
Yep, we're living it right now, huh, Alka? Yeah. All right. So as you were saying, we should talk about that
The
last
P
word.
word.
Ah, yes.
Yes. So the last part of what we're talking about is power. Now, what is power?
I think that's another word that can be prickly sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
The
And so,
ability to act.
What was that, Ed?
The ability to act.
pretty close, yeah.
Excellent.
So I use physics for a metaphor on this. Notice that word, metaphor. And it's important to know that there's not a one-to-one reality thing going on here, because it's a metaphor. So, according to physics, power is the ability to do work. Very close to what Ed said. Power is the ability to do work. I mean, we can look at a basic equation for power, which is P equals W over delta T. P power equals work over elapsed time. But that's going to be a little bit limited for us, but it's a good place to start. If you are actually doing work, you are exhibiting power. And this reflects in the world. So there was an interesting study done. A bunch of students were asked to commit to either reading 50 pages in a book every day or 200 pages in a book every day. This is over a period of a couple of weeks. And it worked out that everybody read 100 pages a day. But the people who had committed to doing 50 pages and read 100 were perceived as more powerful than the people who were committed to doing 200 pages a day and read 100, even though they all read the same number. Why do you think this is? And what does this have to do with us?
Sounds like overpromise and no, underpromise and overdeliver.
Yeah. So what are some of the
I
other
think it,
Yes,
uh,
please.
I think it has something to do with the initial intention. And when you said perceived, I wonder if if the person is perceiving themselves as having more power or not, or if it's an outside observer or group of people perceiving them with more powerful
In this
or
case, it was outside observers, which is one of the things that's interesting.
yeah, that is interesting. But in the case of this is interesting because from the digital Durga talks, Al-Muhsi, I'm trying
There
to
you go.
I'm still
Yes.
trying to understand that. So this is, I think, goes with it. This intention, and whether or not the intention has been fulfilled, that accomplished. So yeah, I think it has to do with the intention as far as that perceived power, possibly.
Yeah. I'll give you a personal example. This will embarrass Nora a little bit. But we have Ed first.
Uh, I think it's because they've done more than they set out to do. So it's like if a person is well, I'll take me for an example. There's times where I'm doing these very strenuous exercises and I have to go up these hills. Let me backtrack for a second. There's times that I'm doing these very strenuous exercises and just going on flat ground is it's a challenge, just put it that way. But there are days that I go beyond the pain and I have to go up the hill and I push all this weight up the hill, which requires a lot more effort and a lot more willpower. So I don't know if that's fits the description or not.
Probably.
It's perhaps not a totally exact analogy, but in the stock markets world, getting an earnings beat is definitely better than getting an earnings miss, regardless of how ambitious either the guidance is or the earnings estimates are. So it seems very analogous in some ways.
Yeah, likely so. So, Austin.
Yeah, for some reason, I find it simplified. For example, if we were to lay out a to-do list and we have so many things on that to-do list and we only do 3 out of the 10, we almost perceive ourselves as someone like failing. But if we had 2 or 3 things and we knocked out those 3 things and maybe we did one more, is that sense of fulfillment or sense that I did a little bit extra.
Yeah. So, let me embarrass Noor.
Uh-oh. All right, go for it.
Okay, it's only a little bit. So, when we were first getting together, what caught her attention was sadly not my Indiana Jones rugged good looks, not my bubbly personality, not even my incisive wit. It was the fact that if I told her I was going to do something, I would always do it. I was reliable, consistent, and she could count on me. If I said, I will do this, she knew that that would happen.
Yeah. And if it wouldn't happen, then it would be like extenuating circumstances or, just human stuff.
Yeah.
But I can
Plane I was
trust you.
flying in
Yeah.
got trapped in a spaceship or something.
Yeah. Or legitimately sick or, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And that almost never happened.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
I would submit that that was a form of power. Because
That's how I experience it. Yeah.
and so you don't have to be pretty and you don't have to be smart if you can be consistently if you can consistently do what you're going to say you do when your behavior aligns with your goals.
So important to me. It's critical. Not that you weren't those other things too, by the way, but on my checkbox list, like reliability, trust, follow through, those things are at the top. And without those, the rest are basically meaningless to me. So he knew that's where I stood.
Yeah. Adrian observes that energy in a diluted intention gets dispersed, which is definitely true. So what's good about having power? Remember the definition. The power is the ability to do work. And that's what it's good for. Ed, is your hand still raised from the last time you talked, or do you have another thought?
Yeah, he's good.
Okay. Make this go away. So, James, talk to us
Well,
here.
this is going to be very subjective. When you say what's good about power, apart from the practical aspect of accomplishing your goals, there's satisfactional that there's some kind of more personal feeling, satisfaction, clear conscience, whatever, of being congruent with your goals and values and living that. There's, apart from this, the specific goal of, keeping your teeth clean so you don't have cavities, there's something that's hard to put my finger on it in a general sense, but congruence breeds a sense of satisfaction of some sort, a sense of uplift. I don't know. Greater awareness, possibly.
You ain't wrong.
Thanks, James. Jonathan, I did see you had your hand up. Did you have anything you wanted to offer?
Yeah. Well, power is, if you have plenty of power, then you can get a lot done. But it's got to be in alignment with the size of your goals. Like with the example you gave with the students. Well, so the students that only read 100 pages when they had intended to read 200, well, it didn't really matter that they only read 100. It was only involving them. But if I promise to remodel someone's kitchen and I only get it half done in the time I promised, it's a screw up. It's the person's house is all torn up and I didn't come through on my promise, on my intention. This is very bad. It's much better that you know the size of intention, that your intention matches the quantity of power and matches the quantity of self-control that you have, so you can complete it. So people will trust you, and you can get more done in life. You can achieve, you can move to the next intent.
I can't argue with that at all.
Intention and the next intention. People will want energy and your abilities with your intention.
Indeed. Thanks, Jonathan. Do we have time for maybe one more remark?
Yeah, we have time for a couple more remarks.
Okay. Adrian.
Hi, good evening.
Hi.
Yes, I would like to do in two parts this. One is that when fulfilled intention actually fuels a lot more than the energy that you invest initially. So the outcome can be almost unpredictable for the good, because that creates a certain kind of, I'm a musician, so overtones that I couldn't foresee before. So that's one part of it. And as a performer, I try to best of my abilities to put that kind of goal whenever I'm playing, all the time, every time. If I'm not distracted, then it does happen. And the outcome is visible, not only in the quality of my, let's say, the quality of the presence that I can bring to a certain performance, but also I notice that there's a response, there's a report also. So that may transcend the realm of you and your intention and your power and your thing. What can happen is that it amplifies towards the others, towards the community, towards, I don't know, your family, the people that are next to you, right? At least it's my experience with that.
Thank you, Adrian. Osama gives you a heart. He feels you. Ed, and then let's let's move
Yes,
forward.
I think it's accomplishing your aim regardless of the obstacles that are in your way. Keep it simple.
Keeping it simple certainly helps with clarity. Thanks, Ed. Alka, did you have a thought you wanted to share before we move on?
The way I'm hearing everything about power, it's like self-empowerment versus public empowerment, like where sorry?
It's actually both.
Right. So like public or people said you will do 200 pages and somebody will do 50 pages. But if the person is self-empowered, then they can do 100 pages. And I think on this path, somebody can say you are Sufi or you are studying spirituality, but unless you're self-empowered, you cannot go above and beyond because this takes a lot. That's how I am hearing it.
Tell us what you mean by self-empowered, because I don't want anybody to make any mistakes or assumptions about that.
Okay. Well, self-empowered means I feel it is my responsibility. If I have a goal, if I have intention, or somebody has given me a goal, I have to go above and beyond to complete that goal. To me, that's self-empowerment. Nobody has to tell me. If they tell me process, great, but if they don't, it is my job to find that, to ask the questions, to ensure proper communication is going on. You are not reading the signs wrong. All that, to me, it's your responsibility. You take that responsibility. It's
Okay, so
100% your
basically you're
responsibility.
saying that what you're calling self-empowerment is synonymous with self-control as we're defining it.
Okay. So I'm listening to it as self-empowerment rather than power. So just wanted to share that.
Okay.
I mean, that's an interesting example of people finding the words that they connect with, that feel most salient to them, shall we say. So thank you,
Yeah.
Alka.
And like I said, the metaphor that I'm using is cribbed from physics, from basic physics, very, very basic physics. I didn't even want to get into the complexities of defining power and that sort of thing. But I wanted everybody to get the idea that when you do work in such a way as to achieve a goal or complete an intention, you are in fact creating power for yourself. And it can be power in any number of ways. And this goes, I mean, to the heart of Sufism. Osama, can you define amal for us?
Amal, actions.
Yeah, deeds.
Mm-hmm.
And when there's a call to prayer, oftentimes you'll hear, come to the best of deeds, usually in the morning to remind you to get the hell up out of bed.
Yeah.
So amal is something along with niyah, which is intention. Amal is the other side of the coin of that. So you have this polarity between intention and action, intention and deed. And this in Sufi work is incredibly important. I can't stress how important this is. So you ask yourself, what is your aim? What is your intention? And what are the deeds that you must accomplish, you must do to accomplish that intention? And if you were in old-fashioned Sufi sales, there you go. Old-fashioned Sufi house, there would be a sheikh, and he would have you doing stuff. He would give you goals to accomplish. And sometimes they would be really important, like, here, read this surah from the Quran and memorize it and learn exactly what it's saying. I want you to come back to me at the end of the day and recite it for me, tell me what it means, and tell me the hidden depths of it. It could be that, or it could be, I want you to make a sidewalk for me. Or I want you to dig out a ditch along the house so that we can make a drain better. Could be anything. And it's not that they're trying to get work out of you, because everybody works. It's to train you in the process of setting the goals and then creating behaviors to get you to the goals. And in doing that, you get to apply a lot of self-observation, because and this is the fun part, your persona, your nafs, is going to give you 10,000 reasons to derail your goals and your intentions. Everybody's familiar with that, right? You set an intention, you know the goals you need to get to that intention, and then halfway through, you wander off. And it could be anything that drags you away. Oh, I'm hungry. I have to take a break. I must have breakfast or I might die. I see a few chuckles there. And this is a real problem, because when you let your commanding self, your commanding persona, drag you off task, you give up your power. So I had been talking about this story just the other day, and I'm going to relate it to you again. One of my last teacher's teachers was named Ali Baba. He was an old Turkish man, and he was the Khalifa of my teacher's teacher. And he was assigned to my teacher to kind of help him along the way. But in his younger years, he had to do a lot of work. And one day, his sheikh called him in and said, I want you to go out into the streets and preach Sufism to everybody. And Ali Baba said, you know, I'll be arrested, right? Because Sufism is illegal in Turkey still to this day. Since 1929, no more Sufis, outlawed. So Ali Baba goes out there. He says to his sheikh, Eyvallah. Yeah, he just goes out and he starts preaching. And the cops come and they say, because everybody knows this guy, everybody loves him. And they say, Ali Baba, you got to stop, because otherwise we have to arrest you. And Ali Baba says, yeah, I can't stop. I'm sorry. I have to do this. And so they arrest him. And they put him in jail. And about 5 days later, he gets out and he goes to his sheikh and says, okay, I'm out of jail, sheikh. And the sheikh says, okay, go out and preach Sufism on the street. Ali Baba sighs and goes, Eyvallah, and goes out. And of course, the cops come and they arrest him and they put him in jail again. This happens like 6 times. Ali Baba, knowing what the outcome will be, completes his task nevertheless. And finally, after the 6th time, he's coming up on the 7th time, and he says to his sheikh, Sheikh, I'll happily go to jail as often as you like, but why am I doing this? And his sheikh says, what are you doing in jail? When you're in jail, what are you doing? He says, I talk with people. I have given the Sufi way to people. I have counseled these prisoners on how to change their lives. 12 of them have accepted bayat. And his sheikh says, see? Sometimes we don't even know when we are given a task, the outcome of that task. But in this case, I can tell you that Ali Baba's standing in the community went way up. He was considered to be more powerful than ever. And not in the, I will hit you over the head if you don't do what I want, but in the, the guy's got cojones. You know, he will go out and preach even if he's going to get arrested. Brian is having a hard time tonight.
Yeah. It's okay. I will do that stuff.
Yeah, you take it.
Recording in progress.
Yeah, so hopefully none of you ever have to endure that. Osama, maybe you. Maybe we might send you out at some point. But just kidding. But
Yeah, that'll be a story to tell.
yeah. So,
Oh, I want to share a quote from James in the chat.
Okay.
That is, it's a good interjection here. James offers a quote from Alfred Lord Tennyson that says, "Self-reverence, self-knowledge, self-control. These three alone lead life to sovereign power."
yeah. Now, the story about Alibaba brings up the other thing that comes out of this when you have power. And that is Alibaba gained influence.
And Adrian says, those are the overtones I was talking about. So I think, yeah, this is the influence that emerges
Yeah.
from developing this kind of power.
Yeah, because for us, one of the most important karamat to have is the ability to influence people to wake up, to find themselves, to feel themselves, to remember themselves.
Ole.
Olay. Thanks, Adrian. Jonathan.
Yeah, I had a question.
Yeah.
So let's say, here's the question. Which origin for the intention is more likely to find its fulfillment? A persona-based intention or an essence-based intention? I'll give you an example. I'm going to give you an example.
Yeah.
Let's say my essence wants to become a musician because I have a love of music. But my persona wants to become famous, and I rather fancy doing it in the format of a musician. So I might have great momentum coming from my persona because I really want that fame. But it's not what it's not. It's all wrong. The origin's all misplaced. Whereas if I'm driven from an essence-based intention because I really love music, then things are in the correct order. But if I'm not in,
really excellent question.
Okay.
My answer is persona can't make intentions. It can only have desires. And that's a different thing. So the way we use the term intention, it requires you to be conscious and present to make the intention. An intention made unconsciously is not an intention.
It's a whim. Right?
Yeah. Or even a desire. And what you get is if all you want is the fame, you don't ever actually become a musician. You learn to play 3 chords and shave your head and become a punk.
or whatever.
or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, we used to, back in my day when it was all, you know, psychedelic rock and roll, we called those guys 3-chord wonders.
Yeah, it reminds me of like a Cheech and Chong skit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Adrian says there's a lot of truth in cowboy chords.
Yep. But very few cowboy chords are just 3-chord progressions over and over. There is that bridge.
Yeah. Adrian also says music might cure you.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Anything that demands that you be awake to it can cure you. And music is one of those things that can do that. We like music.
Yeah. So, Jonathan, does that help give an answer?
That's a great answer. Really great answer. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Great question. Thank you.
I think it's also, as you're sharing the story, Mushtaq, about the teacher Ali Baba, that in the tradition, certain sheikhs have a particular task, or not task, like they have some kind of a title, where a sheikh can be a murshid. He's more of a guidance. He guides people, and some other sheikh might be a murabbi, which I don't really know what that translates to, but it's more of somebody who raises people. And the word murabbi also, the root for it is Rabb, which means Lord. So there's a lordship aspect in it. Lord meaning the administrator of life. So there's actions and pretty much everything that we're talking about here. These, intentions and actions, and making sure that the intentions are being fulfilled through their actions. So I think it's important to point that out as far as part of that story. It's like, okay, what kind of teacher was Ali Baba's sheikh? Was he more of a, sounds like he's more of a murabbi. There's this lordship character quality about what he's doing.
And for Ali Baba, Baba means father. And that was his quality from every story I've ever heard about him, is he was the kind and loving father who would just help his children to become the best that they could be. And the end of that story is that the police finally refused to arrest Ali Baba anymore because he would lead all-night zikrs in the cells. And it was keeping the cops up.
Shut up. Get out of here. Don't come back. Adrian says badass.
Yeah, it is. Austin has a thought.
Yeah, now that I'm rehearing the story, I'm taking notice that Ali Baba was obedient to his teacher, right? And today, coincidentally, I was listening to something on YouTube regarding this saint who's living, or he became a saint, but he was just like a monk living on Mount Athos. And the father of that brotherhood would have him do, like, they would have all the monks do like this very arduous just type of work and work and work and work. And he was complaining because he was like, my father, the father of the brotherhood, isn't necessarily giving me any advice on the interior life of like this the interior life of Mount Athos, and prayer and all that. And the father takes notice, and he takes him to this a cell of like a saint. And the first thing that the saint says, he asks the father of the brotherhood, and he says, "Is he obedient?" It's the first thing he says, "Is he obedient?" And he says, "Yes, he is obedient." And from that moment on, that person became the spiritual father of this monk, and that connection was made between them. So I don't know if there's any correlation between obedience to the teacher and how this can generate this power for oneself.
There is, and what you need in order to be obedient to a teacher is trust in the teacher. It's not just, I mean, this is something that Sufism has suffered from a lot. This idea that, okay, you've taken bayat, you have the sheikh, you must do whatever the sheikh says to do, no matter what it is. And I have seen some pretty interesting instructions from various sheikhs. And some of them have caused me, when I didn't have a teacher, after my first teacher died, I wandered around for years, doing my practices, learning and hanging out with whatever Sufis I could find. And I discovered that a lot of them I could not trust. The reason that I ended up with my last teacher is because he demonstrated that I could trust him, that he actually had my best interests at heart. And in that case, he would say, do this, and I would say, Eyvallah. And he taught by doing. One of his main forms of teaching was he had a pizza parlor. On American Canyon Road back in the day, it was the best pizza in town. And he would have his dervishes come in, and he would teach us how to make pizza. But it's not just here, putting this much flour and this much water and this much yeast. It's like he would teach you how to set your intentions for what you're going to do, how to stick to your intentions, how to create each goal. Like, my goal, my intention is to make many pizzas today. My first goal to fulfill that intention is to make pizza dough. My second goal is to make the pizza sauce. My third goal is to grate the cheese. Just like that, one after the other, setting an intention for each deed that you're going to do. So it is niyat, amal, niyat, amal, intention, action, intention, action. And unlike a lot of teachers, he actually paid us to be in the pizza parlor. This was not free work. This was, you come, you work, you make crappy pay, but it's the same crappy pay for everybody. And you learn how to make pizza. And you learn how to work. And you learn how to fulfill your intentions, how to bring them to fruition. And you get some great pizza.
So
Right.
yeah, go ahead, Austin. Sorry.
Yeah, I guess discerning, how much should we endure someone's demands or the way that someone teaches us. And I think especially anyone who's just starting off is gonna fall in, that's a pitfall for a lot of us, right? Like following different people who don't have the best, I don't mean intention the way that we're talking about, just don't have the best intentions for teaching or sharing.
Yeah, and that's tricky. We should probably do a whole talk on that. I have done a couple of talks on that in the past. Yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, you have to look at who benefits from the work is an interesting question. And if the benefit is to the teacher personally, then you got to watch out. If the benefit is to the world, and in the case of my teacher, really good pizza is a benefit to the world. There is no doubt about this.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's we can add another video about the teacher-student relationship, something along those lines at the end of the video as well, perhaps.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find one that I like, and if not, we'll do another one because we
Yeah.
always need to update those.
Indeed. I agree.
So,
Ed, did you have your hand up, or is this from your previous
Yeah, it's
comment?
help me to understand the practical application to the story. Because I just don't see, I mean, to me personally, the first time I went to jail, that would have been it. So I don't see the practical application.
the practical application was Ali Baba got to hang out with petty criminals, people who got arrested for various different reasons, and ministers.
Drunkards.
Yeah, drunks. That was, yeah, as I understand it, there were more than a few drunks there. And he got to minister to people who otherwise nobody cared about. So that's the practical application of that. And this is not something that everybody gets laid on them. Ali Baba was an exceptional human being. He was an awakened being, and he was with God no matter where he was. And so that's the practical application of that. Like I said, by the end of it, he was leading all-night zikrs with prisoners.
The drunks and the thieves.
Yeah.
How do I apply this to my own beingness now? I guess that's maybe basically what I'm trying to figure out here. How do I apply this to me?
When you find that you have an intention that you need to fulfill, even if it's hard, if Ali Baba can go to jail, you can fulfill the intention. Some teacher says to you, I want you to do this recitation every night for the next 30 days. That's the same as go out and preach on the street until they throw you in jail on a certain level.
So this has to do mainly with, from I'm gathering from this here, is how strong the will is.
Yes. How strong your intention is. Can you be aware enough to make your behavior align with your goals?
I think to bring the story to today's
Yeah, go for it.
maybe
please.
today's terms would be if I hired a personal trainer to gain muscle or lose fat, and they tell me go to the gym for an hour and do these exercises, and I go the first time, I do it, I don't see the results, I don't see the outcome, and I'm not gonna do it. Or I go back and tell the trainer, hey, this is not working, this is not good, da da da. And he's like, nope, go again tomorrow. Right. So and that can be in any, I mean, martial arts, that can be in any kind of you know, in music, in
Yeah,
learning how to make coffee,
singing,
in everything.
cooking,
Um,
art. Yeah.
yeah, 100%. So I think, you know, it would be related to that. And even if it's not that kind of relationship, when we're getting that advice from somebody who, even though, you know, sometimes we pay for that advice, even it's like, it's crazy. Like, yo, I pay for the advice and I'm not going to take it. But even on a deeper level within ourselves, or I guess maybe I'll speak to, you know, of myself, that I know better, but I don't do better. That's the
Yeah.
The
that's the
disconnect
how to be
there.
able to
Yeah.
apply this to my life, is when I know better to be able to do better. So that's how, you know, I would take that story.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you, Osama. Yes.
Yeah.
That
And to take that one step further, using the gym metaphor, you know what happens the first day you go out and work out at the gym? You go out, you work out. It's not the first day. It's not even the second day. It's usually the morning of the third day. You wake up and you go, oh my God, everything hurts. I never want to do this again.
why?
Yes.
Why? So many regrets. Or so you feel in that moment, right?
Yeah. And usually that's when people go, oh, I don't really need to do this.
This is bad for me. I'm not doing it anymore. Never again. And then you're stuck there. And that's unfortunate. We have comments from Sheree and then Brian. So hang in there, Brian.
When a client comes in and they want to improve their flexibility, I always ask them, what are you prepared to do? Because this is going to take a long time. And I guess when you're clear on your intention, then you'll know what you're prepared to do, because that's the other thing. What are you prepared to do? And even before they've even come in, I actually ask them, so what's your lifestyle like? What are you doing? And what are you prepared to put time to? And so I find out they're busy. There is 100% certainty that every person that rings me is busy. So I said, do you eat every day? And they go, yeah. I said, well, my recommendation is that you sit on the floor. And they go, what? And I said, that's my first free tip to you. Sit on the floor, so that if you want to know what it's going to take to be flexible, you're going to have to stretch out your lower back, your hips, your knees, your feet. And it's just by sitting on the floor. So just even watching James get up and down, awesome. You know, so being on the floor, you don't have to pay anybody to be instructed how to get on the floor and get up off the floor. Figure it out. So they go, oh, and I said, this is how I instruct. I said, it's explicit, it's clear, and you're going to have to work, because I don't fix you. And I think the teacher, when they're helping you with work, is also pointing out, there's the clue, work. It's work. It's not just mucking around, having it as a hobby, and I'll try a bit here and a bit here there and go, well, why can't I touch my toes? Well, did you sit on the floor? Has anybody sat on the floor this week? That's what I'll actually say in class. And you just think, no. I said, well, get yourself a little stool and just sit on that first. So I think it's also part of our learning as we ask the questions. I think that's a bit too much for me to chew on. How can I pare it back? And the teacher will recognize how much work you're prepared to do at the beginning. And those tiny accomplishments do give you that power to think, whoa, that felt good. And sometimes a very explicit instruction when they say, oh, when can I get? And I said, 9 months. 9 months. I said, all right. The first lesson, we can see tiny improvements. I will teach you little secrets and how to do that. And it's very simple. And they go, okay. And so then after that, it's actually the group. So us talking in this conversation, the group is actually supporting each other, saying, it's going to take about 5 or 6 weeks before you see anything or feel anything. You think, oh, you know, you might just notice that you can put your trousers on without falling over. You can put your socks on. Those sort of things, they're actually very nice to feel the ease of it. Everybody does it every day, but it's the ease. So you think, what's the qualities of work and what is the quality of the power that you need to achieve a certain amount of work? Once you've got that clarity and look at yourself kindly, you've got a little bit of currency to keep going. Oh, it's a grind, and I will persist with something and constantly get side eye or stink eye, as I call it. They give me the, oh, she's doing that again. I'm doing that again. I said, 1 minute, just give me 1 minute, you know. So we'll be doing something, and then it's months down the track, and I just might get a comment, I'm glad we're doing this. This helped me do da 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 da. I said, I told you it was going to take a long time, and I really appreciate your persistence. So the teacher acknowledging that some students are working and they're getting a little bit more accomplished, that really helps a lot. And it's that kind word, you know, that, well, you're a creative, you're not stupid and you're not slow. It's just going to take a little bit more time. So you're creating another possibility. Okay.
I love that, Shuri. Thank you so much. I mean, that's another example of all of this in lived experience. And pulling in Adrian's comments in the chat, talking about Alibaba's sheikh, he could see the outcome. And Shuri, you're in the position of being able to hold space for the outcome, to have the vision, and to make it accessible if people want it. If people are willing to do the work and earn the power to realize it for themselves. And Adrian continues, there's a purpose there, whether it's visible or not, right? Yeah, so these are all reasons why it's nice to have support from someone we trust that can hold the vision for us, even when our intention might be a little bit wobbly to start out. And then we can ideally hold it for ourselves too. Any other thoughts? Brian, yes, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, for me, something that always or tends to get in the way of self-control or get in the way from knowing better into doing better are justifications. It's like I can always come up with a reason to do something that I know I shouldn't. You know, like if oh, I had a long day today, that allows me to do this. Or I'm at this place and that, since I'm here, allows me to do that. And yeah, really false justifications on reasons why I can do something that I know I probably shouldn't.
Yeah. So.
Thumbs up from Jonathan on that, by the way.
Yeah.
Thumbs up from Shuri. Everybody. Yeah.
Everybody gives you a thumbs up. Oh, yes.
Great. Wow, exciting, Adrian, with the sparkles. Yeah.
So, let's.
Did you have more you wanted to add,
I
Brian?
don't know how the thing does this.
I don't know.
I have no
magic.
idea.
It's magic.
Just enjoy it. We'll enjoy it.
So let's lay out a step-by-step for you. And I will tell you, first of all, that the intentions that you fail on will give you more information than the intentions you succeed on.
Oof, true. Yes.
But the intentions that you succeed on will give you more energy. And then you'll have more ability to do work. And you know what work is, right? We define work in physics.
So nerdy.
Todd will know this. Where are you, Todd?
Oh, I think Todd,
Did he have to take off?
yeah, I was wondering
Oh, damn it.
who we lost. I guess it was Todd, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I ought to know it, but I can't. I can't bring it up right now.
Basically, work is moving something from point A to point B. And we measure the ability to do work in watts and joules most of the time, except for my favorite, work measured in horsepower.
Joe, do you have something you want to share?
Yeah, actually, I do. And this is more of a question. Like, for example, we're talking about self-control. And I think people may have experienced this. For example, I want to have self-control, but let's say I'm driving on the highway, someone cuts me off, and I say that word, and I'm like, wow, okay, maybe I just lost self-control there. And or if I go out to the parking lot, I notice like, well, someone keyed my car. Instead of being controlled about it, I get irate. So how do we go from like, okay, I want to have self-control, right? And when situations in life happen that personally reacted, how do we like not react to that situation?
Well, first of all, realize that especially in the beginning, you will react. So what you do is you get some skills on stopping that reaction, changing that reaction. So if somebody cuts you off and you feel yourself getting angry, you notice that you're getting angry, and before you just unconsciously cut loose on the asshole,
right,
you do your breathing exercise.
Mm-hmm.
And let your breathing exercise bring you back to a state of equilibrium. Same with somebody keys your car. Of course, you're going to experience a flash of anger or sadness, depending on who you are. And again, you do your breathing exercise. After a while, you get more complex exercises, and you would hear around the Sufi house, somebody saying, oh, I am having this state, and somebody else saying, yeah, do your zikr. That's the answer, because proper zikr includes breath, it includes focus, it includes a lot of things.
Okay.
So that's basically how you do it. And you always do post-mortems. This is what self-observation is about. Self-observation is not real time. It's a post-mortem examination of a particular event and behavior. And you ask yourself, how did I get triggered by this? What was it that set me off? What did I say to myself? What did I feel to myself? What did I smell? Everything. And I would recommend, we've got several videos on how to do self-observation. Go through a couple of them until you get the hang of it, and ask questions in the forum. And you and I are friends on Facebook and have been for a long time before the forum, if I remember correctly. So you can just send me a note and go, hey, is this how it works? And I'll go, yeah, that's it.
Okay. Well, thank you.
You're welcome. So Austin says, sometimes even the awareness of the reaction as it's happening can resolve it.
It is absolutely true.
Yes. So Mushtaq, I'm sorry I interrupted you. I thought maybe Joe was responding to your question about the
Doesn't matter.
equation. Yeah.
It's
So
okay.
you were
I'll
talking
get
about
you later.
Deep. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll only let you use the foot smusher for 2 hours tonight instead of 2.5 hours.
While we watch TV. All right. So you were talking about the equation.
Yes. Set your intention. Choose an intention that you're pretty sure you can get through within a day. And that's going to be the intention that you work with. Set your intention. Look at the goals that you have to accomplish along the way to that intention. Then, as you move along towards the end of it, look back and go, what drew me away from my intention? Again, you do some self-remembering. You do some self-observation. What do I do to break my intention so that my self-discipline, self-control is knocked out of kilter, where my behavior no longer aligns with my goals? That's the area of work. And like I said, you will get more out of the intentions that you fail on than you get out of the intentions that you succeed on. So don't worry if you fail, because that's where the fertilizer is. So you need to do very, very careful postmortems on every time your behavior veers off, and to do a brutally honest self-assessment of what happened there. And then the next time that thing comes up, see if you can catch it before it takes hold of you and makes you go off in a different direction. And know what behaviors support your goals. Right? So you have a goal of, I need to lose 5 pounds before I go to the beach next month. Totally doable. You got 4 weeks. And yet, every time you see a piece of cheesecake, you need to stop and eat it. You find yourself just eating that cheesecake. You need to examine what goes on that takes you from, I'm going to be very careful with my diet, to, I love that cheesecake. And it sounds really simple, and it is really simple. The only problem is most people don't do it.
And we fall asleep, so
Yeah.
we don't even think to do it.
And this is why we say that the persona is mechanical. It operates on autopilot. You find yourself just doing things instead of
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you find yourself at the end of the day like, what did I do with my whole day? I had an intention I wanted to fulfill, and the whole day just disappeared into sleep, right? That happens to a lot of us. Osama.
Yeah, I think part of the reason for myself, the reason where I did not want to do this self-examination or anything like that, and how it switched for me, was because part of that assessment, there was judgment involved. And that was my quote unquote default. So I would judge myself, whether it's through guilt or shame, and then be like, nah, I would not want to revisit that again, because it was judgment, guilt, and shame was infused in that quote unquote muhasaba, infused in part of that, which now I'm learning the subtle qualities between hasib and muhsi, which is the doing that as part of the self-remembrance, or not self-remembrance, retrospection. I don't know what the word for it is.
Self-observation?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
So letting go of that judgment or that judgmental quality created this space to allow myself to observe, no judgment, and then just there's a level of relaxation that I would start to change my behaviors and then start to accomplish what the actual intention is. But that's why I think that, you know, for me, certainly that's what that was the case. And I think for many people, judgment, when we're looking at observing ourselves, judgment is there. So letting go of that judgment, allowing for that acceptance to come in, and have that to be the starting point.
I agree. And that's great because it points to this sense that a lot of us, including myself, feel that if we take the approach of having a post-mortem, maybe that's the word we were both looking for, that involves us being compassionate with ourselves, being accepting of what has been already, that's going to fuck us up and lead us to be stuck in the same things. And it's like, if we're not cracking the whip and being cruel and impatient with ourselves, then we're not going to get anywhere. But it's the compassion in the post-mortem acceptance that allows us to have the energy and the clarity and eventually the power to make change. So thank you, Osama. Austin.
Yeah, I had a very similar experience where I was being very hard on myself for just doom scrolling or just being really distracted. And someone I was working with pointed out to me, it's like, is that another eye of yours? Is that another aspect of false personality? And it was just like this click, and I was like, oh man, caught up in this web of judgment and being really critical of oneself. And that was very liberating. So I resonate a lot with what Osama just shared.
Yeah, because I think we mistake that self-abuse for discipline and for motivation. It's not. It's just another way for the ego to do its ego thing. And if we can recognize that again in a post-mortem acceptance sort of way, like, oh, I see you doing that thing, then it's just another, it's more grist for the mill. It's more, oh, okay, that's something that I can attend to with compassion and not let it pull me off track quite so much by witnessing it.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny, the judgment of that behavior and then the judgment of judging that behavior.
It's a freaking spiral. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And the thing to remember is that if you're doing those kind of judgments, you cannot do true self-observation.
No.
Because true self-observation requires you to be presuppositionless. And every judgment is a supposition.
And I can speak from experience. I feel physically ill when I get stuck in that spiral. So if that's coming up for you, that's another thing to just notice. I don't feel good right now. What
Yeah.
is that about?
Yeah, I tend to actually get like random colds and just sinus headaches whenever I feel a lot of stress. And I'm like, oh, there's my body signaling to me that I'm caught again. Unfortunately, it gets to that extreme, but it happens.
Understandable. Yeah. Any other thoughts, Mushtaq?
No, that's pretty much it. Just the challenge to actually try this. It's really simple. It's not necessarily easy, but it's really simple. As a matter of fact, it's for sure not easy, but it's really simple.
A constant refrain, right?
Yeah.
All right. Does anyone have any last thoughts or questions they might like to bring forth? All right then. Oh yeah, Adrian, sure.
I recently watched a previous video of yours about the future pacing,
Yes.
and maybe it could be like a reference for a part of what you are
Yeah,
talking
you are
about now.
absolutely right on that, because
Yeah.
future pacing is one way that you know what your goals need to be.
Exactly. Yeah.
When you set a series of goals to get to the end of your intention, you are future pacing. Yeah, just remember, future pacing is important. If you don't do it, you won't know what you want for breakfast. Do you
It's really
understand what that means?
That means dinner.
It means imagine. Imagine, if you would, having green eggs and ham for breakfast. Imagine sitting down and looking at those green eggs and ham. Does that feel like the breakfast you want to eat? Now imagine French toast, just like your mother made, should your mother have made you French toast. Is that the breakfast you want?
My mother is a terrible cook.
so maybe not for you.
Maybe not for you. Yeah, my mother was a brilliant cook, so I have a lot of positive food memories from my childhood. But yeah, so that's an example of future pacing. Imagine in the future what you are having in front of you. How does that make you feel? Is it good or bad? If it's good, go in that direction. If it's bad, don't. It's one of our superpowers.
And that definitely would grant you a big deal of control about your actions, right? That
Yep.
self-observation and the future pacing, and a posteriori, the post-mortem that they were mentioning before, which is, I'm totally with you guys. I mean, you were telling pretty much verbatim my story about, the self-flagellation and things that actually don't lead anywhere, right? Definitely don't help to remove anything, definitely don't change the past or past actions or mistakes or things. No. Very well.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Are we ready to go to Brady Bunch mode?
We are ready to go to Brady Bunch mode. Where are we? Where is you? There it is. I keep moving shit around here. Voila.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for contributing to this pretty excellent conversation. We covered a lot of topics. We intertwined a lot of, threads that we have throughout our channel. So hopefully you can find one to pull on that's of interest to you, see where it takes you, and sign up for our retreat. Deadline is July 18th. So anytime before that is wonderful. We do hope to see you there. Yeah. So reach out if you're interested in that. And otherwise, we'll see you next week.
And
Take good care,
for you,
everybody.
Adrian, next year I'm looking at Spain for a retreat.
Oh, we can talk about it, my friend.
Yeah, it could
Yay.
be
Have some
very good.
ideas.
Yeah.
I love that. That's
Yeah.
exciting. Also, this Sunday coming up is Two Talk Sunday, so
Oh boy.
time for us to get to work. All right, everyone. We can wave to each other and everyone watching on the replay, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.
Take care.